Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Reptile Rejects. We're welcoming our co-host, that is our temporary co-host there, Shan Melanson. That's going to be taking over Michael Gillian again this week. Michael should be there next week. He's just enjoying his holidays, doing a couple of shows, buying a lot of snakes. I'm going to let him talk to you guys about that later. And today's guest is going to be Brandon Wheeler, which we'll bring on in a few in a couple of minutes. Shan, how have you been, man? Anything new with you?
Pretty good. Been catching up just on holidays, so just we just got rid of some snakes, so kind of happy with that. Some of the snakes that kind of needed some room now have got a little bit more room. Hopefully, I'm not going to fill up the other spaces with other snakes, but that's another story.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm glad a lot of those animals left. Baby rack's getting empty, which is amazing. It feels
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm going to talk about the one thing, and I'm usually try to keep this podcast positive, but I'm going to do it on air because Shan and I had a bit of an event this week that really, I think, hurt us. And I try to keep it positive, but this is not going to be a positive thing. So, Shan and I, as many people know, and people have been asking us for the past 10 months, is your import of your green tree pythons coming? Right? Shan and I put a 50% deposit, a large chunk of cash for 12 GTPs, three different localities. We have been thrown around left, right, given lies, given excuses after excuses. It has been one heck of a ride, to the point that we tracked down who she was importing from, who the exporter was. I talked to every single person, only to finally realize that our order has been canceled because the person we paid has never paid the actual importer. And of course, we are being ghosted 100%. And Shan and I are now down, I don't know, $4,200 of our deposit that we've been in. So this person is called Jennifer Klim. She is in Canada. She is from Queen and King Reptiles, and before was King and Queens. And I have no problem outing her out. If she wishes to come on the show, we'll put her on, and I will gladly take my money back. But she has screwed over many other people. She has ghosted a lot of people. And after waiting 10 months for our import, we're just out of money, and it's really frustrating. So I thought I'd put it on the air just because I haven't decided what we're going to do or how we're going to put it on, but it's definitely going to go on the board of inquiry and all that kind of crap. So to all our fellow Canadians, be careful. She sells a lot of reptiles. You see them online. She has ripped off a lot of other people, including us. If you don't believe me, feel free to private message me. I will send you all the proof. And that is my negative and my rant of the day, and I will stop it there. Except for that, on a positive note, Brandon Wheeler is a fucking cool dude. Love this guy. Love his animals. Love your podcast. Just to listen to the one you had last week with Nick, freaking amazing. I loved it. I think it was your scrub talk and all that. It was good shit, man. And it's funny, we had Nick last week, and he pretty much said a lot of the same things on both podcasts, and I love it because I can listen to Nick's rants every day, anytime. It's always enjoyable. So before we bring on Brandon, Shan, anything to say? How did you get to know Brandon?
Oh, wow. So, when I first started getting into the media side of reptiles, yeah, go look at YouTube, and Brandon Wheeler was there. He was just a guy that liked snakes, kind of thing. And I was starting to get in the carpets. I had a few carpets, and there's Brandon Wheeler, man, just liking carpets, the stuff I liked. He was even into the, I think, starting to get into the scrub pythons, and he was just making videos. Nothing like clickbait. I'm not gonna name out anybody else, but just genuine kind of guy, and would kind of like had some really good information for people that really, like I said, I've been with snakes pretty much all my life, but then when you want to get into a new species, and the internet kind of helps, and I wasn't very like I said, tech savvy and everything, so people tell you, go check out YouTube, and and I found Brandon Wheeler, and I started watching his Morelia house, and that's where I got to know Brandon. Yeah.
Very nice. Brandon, welcome. How are you, man?
What's up, guys? Doing great, man.
There
Thank
you.
you. It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me on the show. You're making me feel guilty, dude. I haven't uploaded a YouTube video in years. I don't know. I started trying to edit stuff and like make videos that were like worth doing. And I quickly realized that I didn't have time. And
Yeah.
it would take me an entire day to edit a video, which is fine like at one point in time in my life, but now as time goes on, it's like, dude, I don't have a day to edit a video anymore. Like it doesn't exist, and that sucks because I would like to be able to do it. So I think I will probably start posting some more stuff again in the future, but it's just not going to be super edited and produced. It's kind of why, like on my Instagram stuff, it's just real short, boom, 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 and send it. I don't know, but I like informative videos. It's just I find not enough people care, or I don't know. I don't know. I need to get back on YouTube again.
You didn't have just those, like I said, the clickbait where, you're always like dodging a bullet, like certain guys are, he's just a genuine guy and explaining like what a carpet python's all about, what they do. And, you'd show off your stuff and your caging and stuff like that. And, they've just got better and better with time.
It's fun, man. I don't like the whole "ooh, the snake bit me" thing, and like getting tagged on purpose. Not my deal. Like, yeah, I'll get tagged on accident, and like it's happened, and like I've taken some bites on video, but I don't post them.
Yeah.
I just I at the end of the day, when I'm done here and everything's over, I would like to be able to say that I was a positive influence on the hobby. And I haven't always been that. Mistakes have been made. We learn as we go. But I don't want to put anything out there that's going to risk people be able to keep their pets, or like make us look like we're lunatics that shouldn't be able to do what we're doing.
No, and agreed. And now with the carpet pythons Facebook group we have, and you got to be respectable on there and stuff like that. And you know how it is on there. It's pretty crazy, right? You just
It's
say,
nice that I'm the one with the
"Hey,
band
you do," but the main question on that darn face group, "Hey, I got this snake. I got told it's this. What do you guys think it is?" Right? Well, probably go with what the guy told you or the breeder, right? And then you'll have this person, well, look at my snake. It looks exactly like that. And this is this, right? And it's like, oh. But, you stay quiet and you just do your thing. And, I don't know. It's good.
I'll try to let those conversations roll out and mature without diving into them now at this point. I used to every freaking time, just for the listeners who don't know, I'm the admin of the Carpet Pythons group on Facebook. And a lot of people, run their mouth on Facebook groups, but man, there's a big presence on Facebook groups, and a lot of people learn a lot, and it's, and it's good, but it's hard to manage 20,000 members, even though half of them are bots and fake or whatever, but it's a busy group. And, it, you know, I've been doing that for over a decade, I feel like, and it is repetitive, going through and answering the same questions over and over again. And it's nice because now there's people that'll answer those questions for me. So like, I don't have to be the guy anymore, and I chime in as needed, but again, it's a give and take when it comes to the time that we can spend on social media.
Yeah, I think we all have an evolution on Facebook. You go from reading, then you go from replying to every single thing, then you go to I've had enough of this. I'll let somebody else do it, and you never reply to almost anything unless it's you know something actually worth replying. So I feel like we've all slowly changed like the way you are on Facebook. Anyway, I don't think I reply to anything anymore. So,
Yeah, I wait till it's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that gets me going. Either something I'm interested in that I'm really excited about, or the drama, because I have to manage the drama. So one or the other. But man, I'll tell you what, I love seeing those freaking striped gelatins and all
Thanks,
that
buddy.
posted
Appreciate it.
out in Canada. You guys are killing it this year. I mean, Canada is representing carpet pythons hard right now. Good
I
job to you both.
and for everybody, I wasn't trying to say any. Like I know I put it on the post where Nick Munn said of showing off the stripe of gelatin, but I had to post. I was like, we didn't even talk about that, right? I knew you had all kinds of them, but we're talking about the ivories and this and that, and but I'm like, oh, you're into this too, right? But yeah, no,
I've
I
got
think
some.
I've done all right. But you know what? The stock comes from all the same hand, pretty much. Paul, Nick, so
It
good
just seemed
stuff.
like for the longest time it was only Don Patterson. I think it was the only Canadian breeder
Yeah,
consistently putting out snakes that were on social media that people know it was happened, or I could point and be like, that's the one Canadian. Like there was a moment I'd be like, there is one snake breeder in Canada. His name is Don. And now I'm seeing all this other stuff come out, and a lot of other
yeah,
Canadians. Like I just feel like in general, Canada's strong right now.
yes. There you are. There you
Yeah.
are. So
Wait.
I love
very, very true. Very true. Don Patterson, for me, I mean, I got my het Xanthics, and that's what started us, Dom. You know, your Xanthic Jag and my het Xanthic female started pretty much our kind of thing, our kind of partnership.
Yeah.
And that all came from Don.
Yeah.
Um,
The only thing is, Don kind of slowly moved away
he did.
from purity, and he moved
Yeah.
towards beautiful. I'm going to call it designer projects or hybrids, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's hybrids, but he moved. Most of his animals are all like these psychotic, beautiful, gorgeous animals. But he moved away from the purity in carpets. I don't even think he's got anything pure. Like he still breeds a couple of jungles, German jungles. He's got a couple little things that are still pure, but everything else is like mix, which I don't really love. So we've moved away, but yeah, there's still only about, what do you think, three, maybe four people that breed carpets in Canada, like that breeds more than one clutch a year. Let's put it that way. So there's always a person that breeds one or two, but that's about it. And I gotta say about his Jalton striped clutch. Okay, Nick's are nice, Paul's are nice, you, Shan's are nicer. His banding is wider. His banding is insane, and I know because I got a pair from him, and they're insane. They're really really nice. I completely agree with you, Brandon.
I have two females. They are crazy. Like you have to see them live. They're insane from last year. They're not going anywhere. And then I took a pair of this year from the 2025s and I kept them. And then obviously set up my friend Dom with a really nice stripe male.
Well, the
Hopefully
color,
they'll
the
turn out.
dude, like the stripe is nice, but the color is really nice.
Yeah.
Like there you've got some good variability in there, and some really good contrast, and there's just this like green olive. It's hitting in all the right spots. Where I'm like, okay, wow,
The
that's.
splash of gold on the side is just, I know.
Uh-huh.
But it takes almost a year. So, like, if you look at the picture I posted, the first one, the 2025, it's two sheds in. It's nice. It's got a nice band. I know what it's going to be, but that thing is going to be crazy in a year, right? Like, what 6 sheds do is, and a yearling, they look really phenomenal once they're a yearling old, man. So,
Brandon, you do Jaltons too, right?
Yeah. I had a clutch this year. I had a clutch 2 years ago. My clutch
yeah.
this year went terrible. I thought I was going to lose my female. She had a prolapse that was worse than anyone I had seen. And it was sketchy business getting that pushed back inside, but I was able to get it pushed back inside, and it held, and she's doing good, and she's eating great, and she's healthy, and she's good to go. But that was an oh shit moment for me, for sure.
Was
Yeah,
the
I thought I was
prolapse?
going
Do
to
you
lose
think it
her.
was
So.
Ovidex?
No. No, I don't think so. Oh wait, well maybe it was hard because there was a piece of poop stuck in there, like real hard, solid, not a slug, but poop that was just like rock hard. Like I could throw it and it would bounce. That came right out that I had to squeeze out. That was kind of blocking, everything, and yeah, we saved her. She's good. But unfortunately, only 4 eggs went the distance, and of course, they were all boys. So no girls, all males this year.
Yeah, so my first clutch was 2024, and I only had 2 boys and 8 females. So I didn't mind the female part, but I was just like, no boys. I'm like, if this boy goes, I got only 2 boys, right? And one boy went to Dom, and I kept one back. He's only about 70% stripe. He's not that great. And then this clutch, I had actually 12 eggs. They all hatched, and I had 6 and 6. So it's
Perfect.
pretty good,
There you
right?
go. There
Couldn't
you
have
go.
been any better, right? So
Perfect. No, man, that's awesome. Yeah, she's always been my female's always been kind of a problem child. She was a mouser from the beginning, and I wasn't able to get her really onto rats for a long time. She's on rats now, but she went from being a mouser to being just a bird eater, and then fed her birds all the way up until her getting gravid and having her first clutch. And then after her first clutch, I offered her a rat. That was the first time she had ever taken a rat. So now I've got her going on rats and going good, but it was slow starting. So she just never really took off. You know what I mean? She's doing better now though. So I'm gonna give her this year off just because this last year was rough, and let's see if I can put some more size on her and get more than a 6 egg clutch next time.
So you want to hear something?
Hmm.
I've only sold one in Canada anywhere. I post them. I almost have to give them away here. Nobody wants them, believe it or not.
That's wild.
Unreal, right? Like I can't understand that.
We got to
But
educate.
I mean, so take IJ or West Papuan. I mean, we have a hard time selling those over here, and you guys are selling them for a fortune. Like our market and your market is totally different.
Are people see, and with the few amount that I would assume that would be available, is it just a complete and total lack of interest, or what?
So everybody's into the yellow and black snake or black and yellow snake. Jungle. That's
I
our
have a lot
thing
of
over
those.
here, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
I have a lot of those. That's me too, man. I
I
love
want
junk.
I want to see your most yellow and black snake, right? That's what I
Uh-huh.
get anyway.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. No,
You
that's
got to
important,
keep.
but I mean, that's what gets you into jungle car. That's what gets you into carpet pythons. Like jungles are kind of that starting point. Like that's the gateway drug.
So I was gonna say, I think the market is very different because of just our population. Our population's so small compared to yours. Like we're what, like 33 million. You guys are 300 and some million. Like it's a completely different market. And you're saying lack of availability, but I mean, Shan and I, just us two alone, produce what, 25 to 30 clutches a year. So like just us two, we could saturate the entire market instantly. And Don produces, I think I last talked to him, he produces around 200 carpets a year. So, but both Don and us, we all export out of the country. So it's the only way to keep the market alive because you got to get them out of the country. If not, we pretty much kill the market. Like like he's saying, if he produces 10 Jaltons and they're not selling, if we produce, I don't know, 10 clutches of jungles, yeah, we'll probably sell off a good 30, 40, 50 in Canada. But after that, you need to move them somehow because the market's just not there. So you got to be careful.
Do you see that expanding every year and getting bigger as time goes on? Like, is it growing?
For me, it's tough because I'll be honest. I hate selling to people. Like it's a pain in the
Hmm.
anyway. I hate selling to people, so I am very big on. Shan, you gotta press mute when you're not talking, man. The echo is really really bad. Sorry. So you gotta like I'm a big on wholesaling. Shan does a lot more selling like privately to one person and all that. I personally hate it. So we're definitely accruing more and more wholesalers, if that makes sense. Like we got approached at the reptile
Yeah.
show by Big Al's aquarium, and like you're like, oh whoa, and people keep coming up to us and they're buying 15, 20 snakes at a time and things like that. So we're doing a lot more of that than doing the whole private sale. And I mean that's great to move the animals. But is it growing? I guess it is. What do you think, Shan?
Uh, so. I mean, it's hard. It's hard sell around here. But the only thing I can say is we're probably the only ones that have the diversity. So West Papuan, the coastals, the jungles, the gelatins, the ivories, brettles. Like nobody else has that much diversity or pure stuff. Like you'll have people that'll breed, the jungle and the coastal together, or some like I mean, there is some guys out west that do have some stuff, some pretty cool stuff that comes though from UK and breed that stuff. But overall, like you said, Don breeds kind of, the only the jungle stuff, and then after that he breeds like designer stuff.
The Scream line, man. Right? Isn't that him? Isn't that's him, right? The Scream line, the diamond brettle. It almost looks like stonewashed jag.
Yeah, it,
That
it
was
has
his
all
thing.
that. I'm not sure if it's called the Scream line, but his animals are insane. Like if you look at them, they've got some have reduced patterns in them. Some have the stonewash. Um, he's got so many freaking morphs in those. They are by far some of the nicest Morelia hybrids that I've ever seen. But again, not my thing. I'm never gonna buy one, but I can admire the beauty.
Yeah, me neither. I don't have any crosses. I haven't made a cross in probably 10 years, I guess. I've crossed a couple of things early on for fun, just cuz I don't know, cuz I wanted to. But yeah, it's been at least 10 years since I've made a cross pairing, and it's going to stay that way.
But I think when we all start out, I wasn't totally sure what I was doing either, right? And so I bred a jag and a coastal together, right? It's kind of stuck together, but I mean, I just bred because I just bred it, right? And I was kind of proud of it. And then learning more about, I've always tried to keep somewhat of the species together, but I mean, you go and you do, you know, some of the non-pure stuff, put albino to that stuff and it's not pure, right? But
Dude, your guys' collections are massive. I just, I try to keep it. This is all I can do. I really can't grow anymore. I have to stay where I'm at right now.
So, Brandon, let's talk about your collection. How big? Because I don't think my collection is considerably smaller than Shan's. I've got about 50 animals, excluding babies. So
Okay.
I'm not that big. Shan, I'd say you're probably closer to 100. Maybe I'm wrong, but
okay, and whose fault is that? Right? You keep giving me all this great stuff, but
whenever I've got
thanks.
animals, like I need to make room. Take it, because he can always grow. I can't grow. I got no more room. But how about you, Brendan? Talk to us about your collection. How big is your collection? I'm curious.
I've probably got somewhere between 40 or 45 adults. Um, and that's all. And they're not all carpet pythons. That's a range of a lot of different species. I have northern emerald tree boas, Amazon basin
I think you cut
emeralds,
out there.
Moluccan pythons. Oh, um, but yeah, quite a few different things. I try to have a good variance, in the house. So I do have a lot of carpet pythons, but I'm also a big corralis guy. So I love my Amazon tree boas, I love my emeralds, I love my scrubs. I have my one pet retic. And then, I've got which she takes up so much space. If I didn't have her, I could fit like 10 more snakes. So that's my fault. But she was a gift, and I love her, and I want to, I'll have her forever, and she takes the space that she needs to take. And, um, it's just, that's the thing about this being a hobby instead of a career,
Yeah, it's definitely different when it's a hobby, right? Like you're doing all this for the fun of it, right? And it's nice when the hobby pays itself or even helps to pay for little things around the house, right? Which is basically I feel like kind of where myself and Shan are. Like we make a small profit every year. Far from enough to support ourselves or support our family, but at least the hobby doesn't go in the negative, right? I don't know if you're at that point or not, but the feeding bill is paid off, the electricity is paid off, you reinvest into new thermostats every year and new things, and you keep upgrading everything without spending real money, right? You buy more expensive snakes without spending your money. You're spending, you sell two 5 snakes, you buy one expensive snake. So it's kind of nice when you get to that point.
Yeah, and I've been sitting there comfortably for quite a while now. That's right where I'm at, and I usually have 4 or 5 clutches a year. That's kind of where I've been at, real consistently for a long time now. And 4 or 5 clutches a year, that's enough. It's enough babies to sell. It's enough to pay for everything I needed to pay for. And one day I won't have to reinvest so much into the hobby, and I'll be able to, put out more babies. Definitely. In the next couple of years, I'll ramp up production a little bit. There's a lot of things that I'm building up on right now, to where I'll start to do probably 10 to 15 clutches a year. I don't think I'll ever do more than that, though. I think that's top end.
And what are those projects?
So I love jungle carpets very, very much. I've got quite a few of those. Probably have a dozen jungles here. I love both the ivories and the black and yellow stuff. Um, my diamond pythons, huge. I love my diamond pythons very much. Mean a lot to me. And, those are great snakes. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Royce, come here. Come here. Sorry. I have my boy here. He's being vocal. And gosh, what else are we doing? The scrubs, man. The Moluccan pythons are grown up this year. Hopefully, we'll get those to breed. It's a really big, top 10 list of things that I want to do before I die is make sure I get a Moluccan python clutch. That's on there. And I've got my
You have a pair
Wamina
of those,
scrub.
Brendan?
I do, yeah. I have a pair of captive
Yep.
bred Moluccans, and I have a pair of captive bred Waminas. So this will be my first year trying to breed both of those. So hopefully that hits. And apparently, I mean, Amazon Trebo is, I just keep making more, and I keep wanting to keep them. And I have a feeling my Amazon Trebo collection is definitely growing. So I don't know. I think that's a very underrated snake, and it's a species that doesn't get enough love, and they're just too freaking easy not to keep. I don't know.
Well, congrats
Very
on
nice.
that clutch.
Sorry, I lost you for a second. What'd you say?
You
We're
muted
having
yourself there,
connection
Shan. You're
issues.
just talking. Mute. Let's see if he gets it.
All
There
right,
you go.
I got it. I think we were competing on who was going, but I was just congratulating you on that clutch of Amazon's tree boas that I saw there. Those are pretty cool. So yeah, we were talking about your Moluccan and your Pony Boy. I didn't know that you had a pair of those, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And
great.
so the ivories. So you have 50% ivories?
Oh no, they're 100%.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're full blood, never been outcrossed. Hmm.
yeah, but a 50% color. Like mine are 75. They're not full
Do
ivory.
you mean zebras?
No, the Ivory Project
Mine are full
is
blood ivories. Mine
okay.
are full blood ivory, going back I think 6 or 7 generations. They haven't ever been outcrossed, so they're effectively black and white, maybe black and gray, but they're about as black and white as you can get.
Oh really? Eh? Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're fun, dude. It's cool. I will outcross some of them. Um, there's a specific pairing I want to do. I have some jungles that are kind of more of a buttery black and yellow that in pictures almost look black and white, but they're not. It tends to just be kind of how the lens hits the color, but just a really, really, really light, like a butter, butter yellow, and I think that's gonna go real well with ivory as far as outcrossing them and getting some different blood in there. So I want to do that pairing just to get some diversification. And okay, well, I have a one specific jungle carpet that throws like a butter look. And I think that look can be refined really well into the Ivory project, just for the sake of outcrossing. So I'm going to go that direction and do a little bit and make some 50 percenters just to kind of build off of, just because I think it's important to do. But yeah, the ones that I produced this year are full bloods.
You sending some to Canada at some point?
You want some?
We do
What's it
actually.
like
Trying to.
doing that whole?
Absolutely. I'm the
Yeah.
only one in Canada that has them. So that's what I was talking to Nick about, and it's so hard to find up here. And then I tried to get a hold of Paul, and I'm like, I'd like some more of that, and he's like, I have none left. I got rid of the project. And then trying to even talk to anybody in UK, and nothing, nobody, even like Phil from Stars Python, nothing, and so
I have no experience with importing and exporting, so I don't know what kind of hurdles you have to jump through to get snakes up to Canada.
So it's definitely doable. The problem is that like it shouldn't be any different from sending from UK to Canada or Canada to US or US to Canada, UK to Canada, right? Or so it should all be the same. That being said, it's not. The problem is the US. It's your Fish and Wildlife is just an all new special entity that chooses when to let things go or when not to let things go. So, but technically speaking, it should be the same as any other country. But for some reason, every time people try, I'd say 75 to 90% of the time it doesn't go through for whatever reason. I mean, you hear it on podcasts all the time. They're like, I think I've heard Justin Julander talk about it often. He's like, I sent it. This time they approved it. Next time they're saying you don't have true documentation. And he's like, well, I have the papers here that you already confirmed and now it doesn't work. And so the big fear is that most people don't want to do it between US and Canada because it's been declined too often. And you guys pay for permits. Your permits cost money, our permits are free. And the fact of applying, going through it, waiting 8, 9, 10 months to get the permit either approved or denied really just makes people not want to do it because they never know if it's going to go through. When in our case, I apply for the permits, it's free. It takes about, I don't know, this year it took 3 weeks for me to get my permits. and I got zero issues. Previous year, the longest it's ever taken me was like 5 weeks. So I think it is doable. I've heard of people, but that being said, you talk to anybody, everybody here, like all the same shipping companies that you guys have, we have here, and they always do non-CITES. Nobody wants to do CITES anymore because it just doesn't go well. It always causes issues. So, um, but if you're willing to send it, we'll take it. If you're willing to try,
So you got to convince Nick to send to UK, and then I'm going to buy from UK pythons, and then we'll be all good.
Is that really how that has to work? Because that sucks.
yeah, that's the way that it guarantees to work because we can get anything from anywhere outside of US, no issues. From the US directly, it just doesn't work. So, and like the part that Shan didn't say is he's breeding them too, but his are 75% zebras. And the problem is he's got nothing that's 100%. So there's no way for him to get back even closer to the 100% white with the zebra when you're stuck at 75, right? All you can do is at that point line breed for the whiter if he holds back everything. But it'd be nice for him to find 100% ivory, right? But just there's none. There's none anywhere outside of the US that we can get.
I have one of each just to be. So I have one zebra female, 75%, and one male jungle ivory, 75%. But they're not crossed or anything, but they're not fully white. They're creamy kind of looking. So, like Dom is saying, I need a full blood.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Nick's 88% look exactly like the 100%. I mean, you can't tell. You put them next to each other, you're not going to be able to be like, this one's 100 and this one's 88. The goal's been achieved. They functionally look the same, and that's how they got there in the first place, was just through selective breeding. 100% ivories 10 years ago did not look like 100% ivories today. These last couple of generations have been important to that transition. So I wouldn't think there's any reason why you couldn't selectively breed off 70% and get something that looks as good as the full blood ones. It's just a matter of doing it. It's going to take a couple generations. Once you find the best of the best and then breed that to the best of the best, then you're there, dude.
So right now, I have two babies. Three babies from this year. So I had a clutch of 8 or 9 babies. I don't remember, or eggs, and some of the eggs went bad. Anyway, different. So anyway, I had 3 that hatched. Zebra, 2 male zebra, and then 1 ivory female. So eventually I could do back to the original female and have like super zebra ivories. But like I said, one of them's really white, and yeah, I can just kind of work from there, I guess, is what Nick said, right? But it's a long way, and I'm 51, and like I only have a certain amount of time. I'm not like as young as you guys are.
Oh man, I'm turning 40 this next year. Here we go, 40. Let's get it. I'm ready. It's okay. I'm ready for my.
You're still
40s.
a baby, man. You're still a baby.
Yeah. Well, the 30s have been great. It's been awesome, but the 40s we're looking good. No complaints.
Yeah. So I think your profession is a plumber, right? Am I right on that one?
Kind of. I don't know if I call myself a plumber per se, but I definitely work for a plumbing company and I do sales.
Okay.
My specialty is underground sewer line repair using epoxy lining. So I sell liner. So basically, what we do is replace people's sewer lines without having to dig up their house to do it.
Okay, fair enough. So where I was going with that is that I think you're a bit of a do-it-yourselfer for cages and all that kind of stuff, right? And I've modified the crap out of my cages in many ways, And obviously, you've got a good amount of skill. So I wanted to go through all the things that you've done in your cages that change, because I find like that's the one thing that often we pick up from other people, right? Somebody will tell you, I've done this and it's fucking cool. And then you're like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden that appears everywhere in my cages. And I know you've done probably 2 or 3 modifications that I find are really, really cool and that are crazy helpful. So I wanted you to kind of go through your cages. Like, what do you modify? What have you done to them to make it either more efficient for yourself or better for the animals, or kind of go down that route? I find it's kind of an interesting thing that people can apply to most animals. I know you keep mainly, I'm going to go semi-arboreal species, right? So,
Semi-arboreal and arboreal, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's fun. So, arboreal hides are super common practice now, and you can buy arboreal hide, things online in order to, set up the kit. I was doing that before any of that was cool. So I started doing arboreal hides before anybody was talking about arboreal hides, and it was like makeshifting, building different ways to kind of fixate hides up to the roof for them to hang out on. And I'm really glad. I'm not claiming that was because of me that took hold, but I know I'm definitely one of the first people to be like, you should do this, and like put that out there, for it to be done. I like the portals. The portals are cool. So I use a 4-inch ABS, so plastic clean out cover like you use for plumbing, and I drill holes through my cages, and I put the lid to a clean out box. There's a fitting that you can put right down to lead from one enclosure to the other. That way you can kind of connect 2 cages into 1 cage, which that's my favorite way to do cohabbing. I know cohabbing is a crime, but if you're going to do it, do it right. And I really like being able to have 2 enclosures that are individual enclosures with a pass through that I can shut and open up whenever I want, and introduce them for breeding and separate them out for feeding. And it's been fun just to kind of leave it open and see when the snakes want to interact with each other and when they don't, and kind of notice how much time they want to spend together versus by themselves. And I've personally learned a lot through doing that.
So I kind of remember telling Dom, seeing that on the internet, and I'm like, did you see Brandon's stuff? Like, he's connected these things, like his 2 tanks together with this. And I'm like, I'm going to go ask him if I'm okay to use this kind of setup. And you told me, no problem, dude, go ahead. Right. And I was like, but I just thought that was just like, that is so cool. And like, I have it on my setups now. And I'm sure Dom has them too. So
has it worked for you? Do you like it?
Oh, absolutely. Like in some cases, I don't use it all the time.
Me neither.
So at times it can make them separated without you wanting to be, without them being separated. You know what I mean? When you're trying to breed them together, so you're leaving the portal open, and it's like, well, one's going to go in one tank and one's going to go in the other tank, and they're not going to be together, right? But it has come in handy in a few times, for sure.
I was going to say, so I have them too. One of the things I wanted to show you is one of the things I've done is you've got the lids, right? And I've got lids that are like this. So the exact same lids that I drill holes everywhere in them. So that often what I would do is that I'd simply put the lids that let the scent from one cage to the other. And I don't know if it really makes a difference, but you can kind of see the males going crazy when you did that. And that's one thing I would do. My issue is I used to use them all the time for breeding, and I thought it was the coolest thing, right? Like you can change a 4x2 cage into an 8x2, right? And I was like, oh, it's amazing. The problem is I found is that when you have too much cage, the animals tend to not lock up as often. They tend to be very often separated. So I more or less use them now when I've moved an animal and all of a sudden I've got an extra cage. Then I'll just give one snake 2 cages. You know what I mean? I do that a lot. I also use them a lot for certain, like I'm cohabbing my roughies. And I don't know why, I just thought they look cool all together. And they're cohabbed in a cage like that. And what I'll do is when I feed them, then I'll close the portal when they're in separate cages because it's just easier to feed them. I don't need to move them. So, but they live together the whole time and they tend to sleep together and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. I like it. I love the idea. And that's the type of shit. Like I even added those on a lot of my hides too. So like your sky hides, I'll add those portal on the entrance to the sky hide. But the advantage is when they go in there and I want to clean the cage, I just close it up, and then you can just close up their hide. You can do the whole cage, and you can leave the door open because you don't need to worry about anything. I've done a lot of those, and I tend to even like so. I every cage tends to have a sky hide, tends to have a floor hide, and tends to have a humidity box for myself. The animals that are I'm going to go feisty, I tend to add those portals, but they're not really portals, but they're just like I guess a way to lock up each hide, so that this way, whenever whichever one they're hiding in, I just close them up. Makes just cleaning so much easier. So yeah, they're pretty cool, and I
Yeah,
think
I
we
do that
copied
for
it from you.
all of my egg boxes. Yeah, all of my egg boxes are like that. That's how I do all my, for that exact reason. I want to just be able to close it off, take them out, do what I want to do, not mess with them, put it back real easy. And I don't know, it's fun. And then lately, I've, probably the last 3 years, I've embarked on the Emerald Treebo adventure, and I am hooked. I am so hooked on Emerald Tree Bows. I'm gonna have more of those in my collection for sure. But I've been geeking out, and I'm in the middle of now. This is my third version of having a rain system. Um, so version one, what I did was I drilled holes in the bottom of the cages. I installed a drain, and then I hooked up a Mist King that was on a 5-gallon bucket, and I had everything drain into another 5-gallon bucket. That way I could make it rain in all the cages for, an hour or so until the water ran out, and that was it. That worked, except I realized I hate the Mist King. I really hate the Mist King. I don't like the way that it clogs, for one, because the spray nozzles were constantly getting clogged, and I was having to replace the spray nozzles constantly to keep kind of a good flow. And I don't think the snakes really liked being sprayed with them all that much. They didn't really in it. I don't know. I didn't like it. So I decided to do something different, and I want to make it
Just
rain
before you go
instead of make
further,
it spray.
so just before you go further, so version one, I got two questions. Number one is, do you have any mulch or any substrate in there, or is it just a plain bottom made to be able to clean out? Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, just a plain bottom,
Okay.
no substrate at all, and
And obviously, you're
and
not
it'll hold.
recirculating the water.
No, no. I spend a lot of money on water. This is not an economical solution to anything. This is for fun and for fun alone and science. Damn it, it's for science. But yeah, no, my water bill is astronomical, dude. Um, so yeah, I realized the things that I didn't like, and I don't have any substrate because they're emerald tree boas. They're not really on the ground anyway, and it's easy enough just to go in and wipe the bottom out with a towel and disinfect it real quick and roll. Without even having to take the snakes out of the cage. So for the sake of emeralds, it's fine. For carpets, it's not going to work. You can't do that with carpet pythons. But so version 2, I got rid of the mister and I switched to having holes poked in a drip line, and I wanted more of a raindrop effect instead of a mist effect. And it worked, but not as well as I wanted it to, and I wanted more water, more power, just kind of a better setup. So I'm upgrading everybody into 4x2x2 enclosures now, and I'm in the middle of doing it. I've got PVC, half-inch PVC screwed to the top of the enclosure in like a T and like L format, so it'll run, like half of it. It'll go the whole length of the cage, and then one up and out, but not like underneath the heat panel and stuff like that. So there's room for the snake not to get rained on if the snake doesn't want to get rained on. You know what I mean? And like the snakes learn, dude, they know where the rain comes from and they know where it doesn't. And it does seem like they'll intentionally perch where either it's going to rain or where it's not going to rain. But the problem I'm currently having and trying to overcome is aquarium silicone does a really shitty job sealing well to PVC as far as getting a watertight seal. Because there will be 3/4 inch of water that'll hang out in there, mostly because the drain's smaller than the bottom volume of water that I'm putting into it. So it'll pull up, and I'm just having a really hard time keeping it watertight. So I found some new stuff that I'm going to try to use that's different from aquarium silicone, and hopefully it pans out and I can get a good watertight seal. And I don't want a silicone again, dude. I'm on round 3. I'm over it. Um, it's very annoying. But for this one, screw the buckets, screw the Mist King. I installed a hose bib in my reptile room. Under over the sink, so if it drips into my sink. And then I ran a drain line for my plumbing all the way across the wall. So think of like a setup for like a washer and dryer doing laundry, but then take a run and make it like 12 feet long and then have multiple different stub outs. So now everything's hard lined into the cages and drains into the sewer line, and it's ran off of a sprinkler timer that's on Wi-Fi, so I can remotely program it to turn on and off whenever I want. And yeah, everything's fed right off a hose bib and drains into the sewer. So anyway, stoked.
That's so. So I'm guessing all your cages then, and it's draining in your sink or in the floor.
So it's draining into a pipe that runs to the sink drain.
Okay,
So
so then it's low enough.
I have a two. Yeah, I have a 2-inch ABS pipe running about 6 inches off of the ground and running along the whole garage wall with risers like you would have for like a laundry. It's set up really similar to laundry. So yeah, everything just drains right into it.
I mean, that's really cool. I imagine if you have enough cages, like I love it. To me, it's like if we set up all our cages with a drain system. When you want to dump their water, you just dump it in their cages. Every cage would like drain automatically. Like it's cool, but like who's got the time to set that up? Like that's just insane, but it's cool.
It,
So what type of
my
mister
wife
do you
would tell
have?
you I
So what type of mister are you using then now for the top of the cages? Like
dude,
is it an
it's
actual
not a
mist
mystery.
or is it rain?
No, it's rain. So what it is I have picture a hose bib, okay, like you would tie a hose onto. And now I ran like a washing supply hose, like you would have in the back of your washing machine to run into the washer. One of those hose ran to a PVC pipe that's fixed along the top of the run of cages. And then it's teed off for each individual cage. And then that's ran to PVC. Sorry, that's ran to PVC pipe. Just one moment.
So, I mean, it sounds cool. I get what he's doing. My big question is like, so he's running a pipe with holes in it, right? So if you have let's say a 12-inch pipe and you have holes every, let's say 1 inch, you've got 12 holes. Wouldn't you need a good amount of water pressure to be able to get the same amount of water coming out of every single hole? Do you get what I mean, Shan?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see it actually set up. So
Yeah.
I think I saw his setup number 2, where
Okay.
he had this small fine line that was clear, and he kind of drilled all the way through. I saw that one, but I have not seen this new one that he has set up.
So
Right?
Brandon, like
So
the
you're
the way
right.
I'm looking.
Pressure is a problem.
Okay, so that's where I was getting at because I feel like the first hole is going to have a lot of water coming out. The second hole, let's say 90%, 80%. By the last one, you've got driblets, but the first one's running full pin. Like I'm trying to figure out how you would either you would have to make the first hole smaller and the last holes bigger, something like that. Because to me, like I'm trying to figure out how you're
That's
getting
it.
those
Nailed
perfect
it.
droplets of rain, and it doesn't work in my head.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't work without exactly what you're talking about. You have to change pipe sizes. So it starts out as the first run, I have a smaller diameter feeding into the pipes. And then my longer run out, I have larger diameter. And it's not so much the start to finish that's a problem. It's like first, second, third, fourth, like in the run. It's not so much that as much as it is higher cages versus lower cages because of how I have mine set up. So the lower cages get higher pressure than the higher cages, which is something I'm still tweaking and not done yet. But as I adjust pipe sizes and change things, I will figure it out, make it work.
So how many cages do you have set up on this system?
6.
Is it just for? Okay,
Well,
so for
8.
so basically for your Amazon and your emerald trees, I guess would be
Just
and
emerald
your,
tree
do you have
bows.
green
No, just emerald.
trees? Yeah.
Yeah, just for emerald tree bows is what I have it set up for. So I'm not
And
doing
you're
it with anything
running
else.
and you're running the top, the middle, or the bottom cages all at the same time.
Trying to. I'm still in the middle. Again, I'm still in the middle of trying to seal these things so they'll freaking stay. So I'm not done yet. I am mostly done. But I'm not 100% done. But yeah, they'll all go on the same time. And if I need to switch it, I can. I had mentioned I have a Wi-Fi sprinkler timer that these are fed off of. So that's two different. There's two different runs on there that I can do. So I can actually split it up, which I might have to do, which is going to be annoying as fuck. But I can run it to where the high cages are all off one feed and the low cages are all off one feed. The question is, am I going to have to do that or not? And if the
Yes.
answer is yes, then I'll do it. It's just going to be annoying, and my wife is going to be pissed because she's really tired of me working on this project.
So I was thinking about it, and that's exactly where, like, to me, it's like having a cage on, like, at the top of your room and a cage at the bottom. You can't have the same thermostat controlling it, right? The temperatures are going to be the same 8 feet in the air. The pressure is not going to be the same on the cage that's 4 feet higher than the cage that is lower. To me, you would have to set up your lines that only do the cages 6 feet high, one that only does the cages 4 feet high, and one that only does, whether that's all in the same line and you just have splitters that like turns off the bottom four cages, only does the top cages, then you open one valve, you close the other one, now does only the middle row and all that. So that would always balance the pressure of the water. That's the way I, in my head, it would work. Because to me, as soon as you have different level of cages, I don't see how you can control a top floor and a bottom floor. Man, you would be testing it out forever with different like size piping. I don't know. That would take forever to actually
I'm
manage to make
almost
that
done.
work. Ugh.
It only so far it only matters on one of the enclosures, and I think I fixed it. So I'll let you know. I do not do bottom enclosures. So my bottom enclosures, those are for Amazon tree boas. They're not fed off of water at all. It's the middle enclosure and the top enclosure are the ones that I'm doing on 3 high stack. Only simply for the drainage problem you had kind of alluded to earlier. Because of the way that I have it set up, I can't have the drains running on the bottom and have enough fall in order to get it into the sewer line. But I can for the middle and up. So those are how it's set up.
And I imagine in those cages you have no water bowls, right?
No, I will have water bowls because I'm not making it rain all the time. I'm not going to do it every day. I'll make it rain on them real hard for, probably a half hour at a time, 2 or 3 times a week. But I still want them to have water available other than that. So I do now and will have water bowls in there for them. I like doing the elevated hides where the water rains into the bowl automatically. It's kind of a cheat code for having fresh water in there all the time. Shh.
So do you have elevated heights for your emeralds?
Nah, they don't need them.
Oh, eh?
Nah, they don't. They won't use them.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so. No, but really neat.
So it's fun. And then my retic enclosure, I went off. That took a summer. That was a whole summer of work. I built a retic enclosure into my house in my basement. Literally, like, it's insane. I'm ridiculous. No one should be this ridiculous. I installed a sub pump in my basement, that which I needed. It wasn't just for the retic cage, but it's kind of, this was the start of like, I'm going to build a retic cage. Like, I have to do this now. Is my basement was getting flooded, and I'd have like 4 or 5, 6 inches of water in there sometimes after a real heavy rain, just because of the way that my house is set up, and it was a problem. So we saw cut it, jackhammered, pulled up, concrete, and then laid basically storm drains across one whole wall and then over to the side. And then I had them where we put the drain in one area. I knew that's where I was going to put a cage. So I stubbed up 2-inch with a shutoff valve straight out of the ground that's ran to the floor grate. So now I can just run a hose in my basement. Everything runs down the drains and goes into a sub pump that pumps it up to the sewer line, right? So where I wanted to do the retic cage, I did brick all around the outside, and then put a window, filled the walls, put in a 60-gallon pond, plumbed it into the floor drain, epoxied the entire freaking thing, made it all as waterproof as I could possibly make it, installed a waterfall on a pump system, and it's cool. Peaches is one very happy retic.
So just by curiosity, I know you built your whole snake room in the basement at some point, right? So was it that you were getting water in your basement and you decided you need to dig it out and add a sub pump, and you're like, hey, if I'm going to do this, might as well put my snake room in there? Or was this always the plan? I'm curious as to how you got there. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, so it was always the plan. When I bought the house, it was all dirt underneath there, and I had a crew come in and excavate it out, and we dug down as far as I could dig down without hurting the foundation of the house, because I have the foundation pillars down there, and we pretty much dug down to the bottom of the foundation pillar, which gave me just enough room to walk under there without hitting my head. So I've got about 1.5 inches of room for me to walk without smacking my head on anything. If I go under the beams, it's real tight. And we did a 4-inch slab of concrete. Hauled away a fucking whole truckload worth of dirt. Poured a 4-inch slab of concrete. Did a kind of a retaining wall for what I didn't dig out, and put a whole wall that up to kind of separate out the rest of the crawl space. And then when I did that, then it rained. Like a month later, it rained, and it rained a lot. And I said, fuck, because it turned into a swimming pool, and I knew that I had made a mistake. So I had the crew come back out and give me a hand, and that's when we decided to install the sub pump. It took maybe a year of me dealing with that before I was able to do it. And dude, it was terrible. I had a pump that was down there that I'd have to plug in every time it rained and pump freaking water out of there. And water was getting up to the bottom of the enclosures, like almost up to the windows. And I'm like, okay, this isn't cool. So doing the sub pump was an absolute necessity. But of course I had to make room to be able to pressure wash out a giant enclosure and install a freaking pond. I mean, if you're going to do it right, like, let's go. So I found an excuse to make it a lot of fun, and I'm glad I did. No regrets. When I sell the house, maybe I'll have some regrets, but for now, no regrets.
I could just see yourself putting the house up for sale. Comes with built-in retic cage. I mean, it's going to sell for sure.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it just like that. hopefully, hopefully, I know enough snake people. I'll find somebody who wants that, and like maybe that'll exist. But otherwise, whatever, man. It would also doubles a great grow room, so you can grow some pot in there if you don't want to have a retake.
There you go. Make sure the guy that's our girl that's buying it isn't too tall either to fit in their basement.
Yeah. That's important. But it's fun, man. And then I had to redo my garage, and I've learned a lot. I've built a lot of reptile rooms over the years, and definitely everyone is better than my last. A mini split is key. I'm a real big fan. I will never again. Whenever I do move on to a new home, I'll have a mini split in every reptile room from here on out. It's too easy.
Where do you live, Brendan? What where in the
San
states?
Diego, California. San Diego, California.
Okay, so
Southwest.
you basically have much warmer weather. So the mini split, the idea, just so I get it wrong, a mini split is like heat and cold, right? You can provide AC and you can provide heat from it. Okay, so
Yep.
is the reason you want one is for like your winters to cool off your room.
For my summers, because it'll get too hot. If I didn't have that mini split in here, it would get excess of 100 degrees in this room. And, we get a lot of 104-degree days and stuff like that in the middle of summer. And it would be way too hot. In the winter, I'm not so worried about it. We have a lot of different ways to heat our enclosures. We don't have a lot of ways to cool them down. So the mini
So
splits
you're
key.
in a basement though, right? Didn't you dig lower? Because like for me
Two
personally,
reptile.
a basement is the best for reptile room. Like it doesn't matter. It always stays at a decent chill temperature, right? I find I don't need anything to cool off my room. I only need shit to warm it up, and that's even in summer. And our summers get, I'd argue, as warm as you guys, right? And even if it's warm outside, because my reptile room is essentially 8 feet below grade, it's always a steady, cool enough of a temperature that I would never ever need to cool it down.
Yeah, so you're right. The basement one, I don't have a mini split in. I do have like an exhaust fan hooked up. That way I can run blow heat out of it with an exhaust fan, kind of at will. But I have two reptile rooms. The other reptile room is in a garage that I finished. So the garage, man, sun just beats on that thing all freaking day during the summer, and yeah, it would just get way too hot. So this is the mini splits. We're in the room I'm in now, which is in the garage room.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense then. I figured because to me a basement is the key for everything, man. Basements stay at it. All you got to do worried about is heating, right? So you kind of eliminate that whole part. Like I know Shan for the longest time had his reptile room upstairs, and I never understood because he's got a basement. And to me, I found that his room was always way too warm. He was struggling with too much heat. And even if you cool off your house, all your cages are providing so much heat that it's just uneven. I don't know. To me, like, but I know a lot of houses in the States often don't have basements for some reason. Um, so, anyway, kind of cool.
So I don't have a basement. I have a split. So I did have the access to upstairs. I mean, the wife gave me the master bedroom, which had kind of like the sink and everything. Well, I couldn't give that up, right? I did that for a year or so, but now I've moved to the main level. It's so much better. It's easier to keep cool, but it's not like a basement, Dom.
Well,
It's a floor lower.
I like it too because having the two rooms is cool and definitely a luxury because I'll have like my inlands, my Brettles. Yeah, I have my diamonds outside most of the time, but then I also have diamonds that are inside. So having those species downstairs where it can be nice and cool, and then having the mini split running upstairs for the species that are a little more tropical, it's kind of cool to be able to do both like that because otherwise I wouldn't be able to breed the more tempered species as well as the tropical.
I definitely want to get into the diamonds, but before inlands, you've bred inlands, right? How low did you get them to breed? And then my second part question is, how hard was it for you to get them feeding?
Okay, so first time I bred them, very easy to get them feeding. It was not a problem. I had them. I got them to eat right off the bat. There was only one, maybe two that were a pain in the ass out of like 12, I think. The rest of them, they took no problem. This year's clutch is a pain in my ass, and I have 9 babies, and two of them are eating on their own, and 7 of them got rat tails last week. So we'll see how that goes. I like to, if I'm gonna do force feeding or assist feeding, I like to use rat tails, mostly just because it's the easiest, and I like to do the easiest thing. And it's super fast to get a tail down them, and that sucks, but it is what it is. They'll get there. They always do. Um, as far as cold, it gets about 60 down there in the winter. I'd say that's around the coolest that it gets in the basement is probably 60, maybe high 50s sometimes occasionally, but not normally. 60 is probably about as cold as they got.
Yeah, I was just trying to check to see if you bred them more like a winter breeder or a spring breeder. Because I brought them down to about 65, 66 was the lowest I got. And I got them to reproduce, and they are the worst feeding of any Morelia I've ever had. Gigantic pain in the ass to the point that I sent them all to Shan and let him deal with all the trouble feeders. He breeds his own rodents. He breeds mice. He breeds ASF and breeds rats. So he's got access to all the lives. So whenever shit really doesn't go well at my house, I tend to move things over to him, and he gets everything feeding because he's got a little bit more access, and he's become pretty good at it. So he's a
Yeah,
good friend to have. Let's put it that way.
yeah, but still, even with all that access to all that stuff, I still having an issue with them. I've been putting rat tails, nice. I've been doing what's his name there, the mayor, chicken gizzards.
Chicken
I've been
gizzards?
giving him, yes, yes. I don't know. It's got a little bit more meat. I don't know.
I've never tried. I know it works. Not from personal experience though. I've never tried the chicken gizzard. As soon as I go to the grocery store and remember I'm supposed to buy, where do you even buy chicken? What is a fucking chicken gizzard? I don't even know where to go there.
we
But I'm
have
sure it's a
it.
great
We
idea.
have it in a pack. Seriously,
It
we
comes
have
in a
it in a
pack.
pack. Oh yeah. I mean, it for something. I guess it's something in Canada. Around the holidays, you put it in your stuffing, or somebody does that kind of stuff. Cooks it with the you know, whatever Thanksgiving dinner. So I just take that and I split into little baggies, and then I just take out a piece, thaw it out, then I fillet little pieces, and that's what I've been doing. I mean, I've been doing that for like force feeding or assist feeding the pygmies. It's been working. Most of them are eating on their own now, so thank goodness, because that is hell. Like, think of trying to put something down that small, right? Like, as
Yeah.
soon as you go, as soon as you go back to like any other snake, it's so much easier now to try to put something down something's throat. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I like the tails, man. I get it. There's not quite as much meat, but I'll try to cut up on the tail so there's more meat, up on the tail, and I'll just make little tail sausages and freaking, you know, easy peasy. I hate trying to do it with pinkies. I think that's the worst.
Yeah,
That's an
I've stopped. Go Shan.
they just explode everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say
not. It's
I've
not the
stopped
way.
using pinkies as well. They're just a pain in the ass. I've done tails. I find tails are the easiest because they just get stuck in their mouth, and then it's not really force feeding. It's simply you put it in there and they end up eating it on their own. But I feel like there's nothing there. Like you look at that tail, there's no meat in there. Like it just looks so hollow, and I don't think they're getting anything out of it. So like you tend to, once you start with those tails, you're stuck, and you almost got to do it every few days because it doesn't seem to sustain them.
I feel like what it does though is it gets their system working to where they're then ready to start eating and accept food. It starts the process. Like, yeah, it sucks for substance. I get it. But once you get a couple of tails down them, all of a sudden they want to start to hunt and eat on their own and realize that they're hungry and it's time to take food. So it's just kind of a occasionally a needed stepping stone, I guess.
Agreed. Agreed. I found sometimes that kind of gets their body going, their kind of metabolism going. And then, you just offer them like a little warm pinky in front of their mouths and it's like, boom, then they hit it hard.
Oh, and there's nothing better. How stoked are you than when that happens? Like what a great feeling. You've been force feeding this
Right?
fucker for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden, boom, it takes it, and you're just like, fuck yes, I win. Like it's just that moment of victory.
Have you guys ever noticed, like, when you go to, like, I'm sure you guys are feeding lots of, like, I know, Dom, you're kind of the person that, we don't have a lot of time. We just drop a pinky into each one. But sometimes you have to give that extra few minutes to that snake. And you kind of, like, put that pinky in front of them. They bite it. And you kind of look at them and it's like, okay, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move. And the thing still, you feel like the snake's looking at you and is like if you move, I'm dropping this thing, right? And it takes like a few seconds, and then all of a sudden it goes into food mode, and it's like, oh, I have something in my mouth, and I'm gonna start eating, and then everything's okay after that, right? And then you
Yeah.
just move slowly away, right?
Yeah, droppers are a pain in the ass, man. I hate droppers. I've had a lot of them.
You don't know how many times like the wife will come in and be like, I'm like, stop, don't say anything, don't move. I'd be like, hang on, just give me a few minutes, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She knows now. It's great. As long as I do it after bedtime. That's the thing, is like I have to feed late night. I got two kids. Kids got to be asleep. We're done with dinner. Wife's done talking to me, and then I can lock myself into the reptile room for a while. But if I try to do it in the
Actually,
middle of the
that's
day, I was gonna get.
it's actually something I want to get into. Brandon, I'm just curious here. How's your wife with the animals? Does she have any interest? Does she help you with anything, or is it like she doesn't care about it? Is she pro your whole thing, or is she kind of like? I'm always curious to see what that dynamic is.
She supports me. She would not have snakes if I didn't have snakes. She was scared of them when we met, and she did not like snakes when we met. But it's all right. It worked out. We struck a deal early on, so it was like our second date. I brought her back to my house and I showed her the reptile room, which at that time I was in a transitional period between moving from Knoxville, Tennessee to California, and had just got in this situation where there was this girl. I was engaged to her. She was very toxic, and it was a really, really gnarly breakup, and I was absolutely addicted to this woman, and there's no way that I was going to be able to get away from her. So I quit my job. I sold my house. I sold everything that I owned that didn't fit in the back of a Mazda 3, which would brought down to, I had one rack. I still have it. It's the 16 quart rack that's just the 16 quart tubs. And I sold every snake that didn't fit inside of a 16-year-old tub and drove my happy ass to California to start a new life. And showed up in California, got a studio apartment, unpacked everything, got it ready to rock and roll, and I was done. I was tired. It had been a hell of a trip, and I went to a dive bar that had the worst Yelp reviews possible to sing karaoke and have a beer to celebrate just because I needed it. And that's the night I met my wife, man. And met her. Things turned out great. Second date, brought her to the house, showed her the snake room. I'm like, look, this is only going to get worse. I just sold a whole bunch of animals, and I promise I'm going to buy a whole bunch more. If this is a problem, do not go out with me again. You can't. I don't want to deal with it. Don't go out with me again if this is going to be a problem. It can't be a problem. And she looks at me and she's like, no spiders. I'm like, well, I just sold all my spiders. She's like, you can't buy any more. No spiders, nothing venomous. And we shook on it. I married her. It's been great.
I fucking love that. Actually, that's a pretty cool story. So you're never getting spiders again, are you?
No, I can't. I can have as many pythons and boas as I want. That's the deal. No spiders, nothing venomous.
That's
I could handle that.
yeah. I think that'd be fair. I've owned a few tarantulas here or there, and like they're cool, but they don't really do that much for me. I don't think I'd keep them anymore now, anyway, even if I wanted to, because that's whole idea of having insects in the house too. Like, no way. Stuck hearing those damn crickets every night. Fuck no.
That's why I don't do frogs anymore. I don't do lizards. I don't. You know. I don't. I would love a I joke with her all the time because now my son wants a tarantula. And at one time I had most of the Pokioptera genus that you could get. I loved, the Indian ornamental and the all of them. I had a good collection for a while, but it was a fun run. It was a great time. I did it. I don't want to deal with crickets. I don't like having to go to the pet store. I don't like being forced to go to the pet store. We did the frog thing for a while to where I kept having to go to the pet store, and that was just getting old. And I don't want to play that games. No bugs.
Yeah, I would never do it anymore. Like when I look at all the animals that interest me, like anything that's insectivore is removed. Herbivores I might consider because you pretty much always have everything, and we have a pretty big ass garden that I probably could get anything and feed all the animals for free if I really wanted to. But the amount of care, the fact that you have to feed them every day, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like when you're looking at snakes, like we're so lucky. Like you don't. I'm busy for the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry, man. Nobody's getting fed for 2 weeks. We'll figure it out when I'm done. Like we've got these animals that are such low maintenance, and like if ever I actually branched out of snakes, and I've done many times in the past, the two main things that I would do would either be varanids or would be crocodilians. And crocodilians aren't legal where I am, and monitors, man, they need a lot of room, they need a lot of food, and they're again one of those animals that require a lot of care. So I don't think I'll ever step out of the snake realm. But that's just me, man. It's not that I'm lazy, it's just that these work for my lifestyle.
I did the monitor thing for a while, and I loved them, and they're great. And I had a Nile monitor for a really long time. And that was my first experience building a cage into my house, which was a lot of fun to dismantle when I sold it. But yeah, no more. Same reasons. I need to be able to go on vacation and not worry about it. I've got my best friend Tony Dewar with Revision Reptiles, really great guy, awesome keeper, and thankfully he lives 20 minutes away. So if I go on vacation, he can come do water changes for me. But dude, what am I going to do with a monitor? It's got to eat all the freaking time. You can't go on a cruise. It's I don't know. I need to be able to live my life. So yeah, we're sticking with snakes.
You had somebody else help you maintain your animals at one point, like Cher or Nicole? Nicole?
Oh, Cher. Yeah, Cher's sweet. That lasted for a little bit. She's cool. Yeah, Cher's great, but she's about an hour drive away. And she doesn't understand my collection quite like Tony does. So I do not have to worry about Tony at all. He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man in his wedding. We got it worked out to where if he goes on a break, I'll come over, take care of his shit, vice versa, so we got that going. So you got to be so selective over who you let deal with your shit while you're gone, especially when you have this much shit. And yeah, it's a real short list of people that I trust to do it.
Yeah, totally get that. I think the only person I'd let that happen would be Shan, and even then, we're about an hour and 15 minutes away, so it's almost too far to be able to count on the other one to do it. Because especially if you had animals that needed to be cleaned out every day or things like that, like Shan's got freaking I don't know thousands of rats and mice and ASF, and I'm like, if you're leaving, I can't do that. Like I don't have time to go and do all that. I'm like that's way too much. And the but for animals, I think if we both needed it, we'd probably come through for the other. But again, we're not that close. And honestly, in Ottawa, I don't think I trust anybody to do it. So I'm pretty much stuck. I can't leave
Yeah,
for longer
I
than a
only
certain
need
amount of
water.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I only need water changes. That's it. And that's the thing with snakes. You can do that. You can only change waters, and they'll be fine. Monitors, tortoises, iguana, like the list goes on. You can't. How do you take a break? How do you go do stuff? I want to go do stuff. That's like the whole point of 40 is like I'm supposed to be able to go have fun now, and I intend to do it.
Well, planning on doing the rats for a little while longer, and then that definitely keeps me around the house a lot. Like I can't go very far. A few days, we go to like Kingston, which is like an hour and a half away. We spend a few days, but always have somebody at the house to make sure, especially like on summer days. So we still get a good summer over here in Canada, and we get I don't know. You guys are Fahrenheit, so close to 100 Fahrenheit, maybe in the 90s. What do you think, Dom, around there? About 30, 40 degrees Celsius for us.
well,
If I don't open up the shed doors for the rats, I mean, all hell is going to break loose, right? We're going to have like, rat soup, and we don't want that. So I need to have somebody there for that. But like you guys said, for the snakes, I mean, I can go like easily 7 days with no problems. I know everything's great. The only thing I would worry about would be like thermostat, like kind of like crapping out, and then they wouldn't have any heat. But I think during the summertime you'd be okay. Ambient heat. You got a heater to kind of keep everything in check.
Mini split. It's all about the mini split.
yeah. Let's go. Let's move to your diamond python. So I've heard a bit about you talking about how things aren't going as well with your diamonds anymore. On your last show you had with was it Kush and Nick there? So I'd love to know a bit what's going on. And I
Yeah,
think your diamonds are pretty old. So
they're just old. I mean, that's all that's going on. Like, they're fine. They still eat, they still hang out, they're still fine. But I've noticed in age, they are less muscular than they once were. Like, and they were never really all that muscular because I got my diamonds from somebody else, which was a point Nick brought up. I didn't raise these ones, and they were raised in Iraq. From the age of birth until they were probably 16 years old. They lived in probably a V70 tub, and never had perching or anything like that. So they come to my house and they get a big ass cage in the backyard, and they're like, hell yeah. And you can see the difference in muscular structure, as they're getting older, because I want to say they're 20, 21 now, something like that. And then they're old, and my male, he's still real strong, but he wasn't a rack snake, the females were. And there's something to be said for that. I'm not trying to talk shit on racks, but if you're keeping your semi-arboreal snakes that are used to wrapping around perches, and that's something that they've evolved to do, is climb, and you're not allowing them somewhere to perch and wrap around something to hold on to it, I this is bad for them, and it has long-term side effects, and yeah, I don't know how long they'll be around for. I look at them, I'm like, fuck, you're old, and I don't know. What are your guys' oldest snakes you have in your collection?
For me, I think I've got a couple of 2012s and such, but I had an episode where I got completely out of my snakes and had a 2 year or so hiatus, and then I got back in. So once I got back in, almost every single thing I bought was babies at that point, right? I didn't buy any adults. I didn't want any adults. So kind of, I think I got back in, I don't know, 2015, 2000. So I bought a couple of maybe 2 or 3 year old animals. I think those are the oldest I have. So I don't know. I got a couple of 10 to 12, 13 years old, but I don't have much older than that just because that's when I got out. How about you, Shan?
For me, so for carpets, I have the one from Dawn, the Het Exanthic. I bought it off him. It was a 2010. Apart from that, I have a Brazilian rainbow bow. I'm actually kind of proud of that. So when I first got back into it and I bought my house in 2005, 2006, I started establishing my collection and collecting some Brazilian rainbow boas. And I bought this girl, and she was full grown, probably at 4 to 5 feet, good health. And so just think, she was full grown at 2006, and I still have her to this day. It's an amazing snake. Yeah, she's very good with people, everything. I don't handle her as much now. I've retired her. It's the only Brazilian I have now. But yeah, so 20-plus-year-old snake. It's possible, man.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool. I want to say outside of the diamonds, yeah, 2012. Um, my zebra is a 2012. That I bought from Nick, and yeah, she was one of those snakes that came with me in a rack across the country. You know what I mean? She made the cut. A lot of other stuff didn't. But Dom, what you had mentioned about not wanting adults, dude, you're so right. There's no I don't care what it is or what I need. I have no desire to bring adult snakes into my collection at this point moving forward. I just don't. I've done it. I've had problems with a lot of them. And those are the first ones to go if I'm ever in a position to where I need to move some stuff. I don't care about them as much. I'm not attached to them as I would be. And when you get the baby and you raise up the baby and you've had its whole life, it just means something different than an adult that you picked up that you also tend to have. I don't know. It hits me different emotionally, I guess. So yeah, dude, babies all the way. We were talking about diamonds though. So I like the outside enclosure. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've had a couple of different pond setups out there, and the one that I have now is okay. It's kind of makeshifty. I was cleaning out my last pond and I accidentally put a hole in the bottom of it, and I was like, "Fuck!" And threw one together in a weekend, and it's doing well. I've got one of the tubs that's like their lay box or whatever, their hide box outside has a heat panel in it that I have hooked up to a thermostat. That way in the winter, they can get enough heat. I wouldn't worry about that if it wasn't for the placement of my enclosure. And that's kind of the one downside that I don't like about my diamond setup is how my yard gets sun versus shade. There's too much shade in the winter and not enough direct sunlight. So, where I would have enough direct sunlight, there's a big row of big trees and the sun dips underneath the trees for just too long of a period of time, in the heat of the winter. And there's nothing I can really do
Let's see
about
if he
that.
comes
You
back.
froze. You froze, buddy.
Am I back
You
now?
froze, Brandon. Yeah, you're back
Yes.
now.
So you were just saying
right.
the sun hits and your big trees stop the sun from coming in.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can do about it. So, I have to have supplemental heat. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't do it. But I have to, and it's okay. They hang out under there; they're fine. They get plenty warm. I'll set it to like 50 degrees in the winter. 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's still cold as shit. And it'll get down into the 40s, and it's even snowed on them before. So they do well. They do just fine. So it's not a problem. And then lately, like I just have to make sure my tree is trimmed because I planted a ficus tree in the middle of the enclosure, so that shit doesn't move. There's a tree growing through the middle of it, and it's a ficus, so it keeps wanting to grow out of the enclosure. So I'm constantly having to trim it to keep it like in place. Hindsight being 2020, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but I think it's cool. So whatever.
Very neat. So, what do you have right now? You've got a pair of adults, and how many holdbacks do you hold back from your one clutch you got?
I have a trio of adults, two females that came from Sean Bradley, then a male that I had already had, and I just kept a pair of holdbacks. So right now I have 5 total, a trio and a pair.
Okay, that's not bad. So, are you planning on breeding that trio again?
Yeah, they're cohabbed. They're together outside. So if they want to breed, they'll breed. It's up to them at this point. I got nothing last year. I did see a couple of locks, but nothing came from it. And we'll see what happens this winter. I'm feeding them up to be ready to rock and roll for sure. So I feel like they're in a good condition to be able to go if they want to go. I'm just not holding my breath. If they do go, this will probably be the last year they go. I don't know how many more years they'll go for, but I'll let them decide. It's up to them.
Yeah, I like it. I actually, both Shan and I just recently got into diamonds, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago. We've been mainly growing up. I've only got a pair. Shan, you got only a pair as well, I think so. Just diamonds are impossible to find here. Again, the only two people that were breeding diamonds in Canada have not been breeding for over 10 years, and I've gotten out of it. One was Don, and one was this guy called Islam, which both got out of it. Actually, you ever heard of the guy that had a pied diamond? Do you remember that? So he had this diamond that had pied markings on it, and he posted on the internet. Anyway, it was him. Somehow, I don't know what happened. That animal never reproduced, or I'm not sure because I actually don't know the story. But all I'm saying is he's completely out of it. My assumption is it turned out to never being anything. But except for that, like trying for us to get diamonds, it was a fucking pain in the ass. Like we ended up having to go through Europe, through Phil at Star Python. We got our animals through that. And I finally got a pair. I got an RPD female. My reduced pattern is, I'm trying to look at the date. I think she's about 4.5 or far. So she's going to be 5 this year. She should be ready. She's big, but I'll be honest, her head hasn't grown yet. She still doesn't have that big head, which pisses me off because she's almost 5 and she still doesn't have a big head. The male is 2021, so I feel like the male's ready too, but I almost lost him this year. I had him in he pretty much rammed his head through. He created a gigantic hole on top of his head and under his mouth. And it's been about a good 5-6 weeks now of taking care of him. Every day I thought he would die, but somehow he's surviving. So fingers crossed he'll make it. But he just recently shed,
Out of
and the
curiosity,
whole top of his head. Yep.
out of curiosity, with the head thing, did that happen by like how there will be a lip as like a substrate lip in an enclosure, and then the glass will sit here, and there's just enough room to slam their head in there and kind of squirm around to try to get out? Is that what happened?
No, I won't go too much into detail, but the best I'll say is that he was in a bin and he was a bit sick, so I put him in the incubator to try to heat him up to try to see if I could heal him. He wrecked his entire head trying to get out of it, is the best way I can put it. The bin I had just had those little like plastic indents on 2 corners, and he just ripped his head trying to get through. So anyway,
That
learn from
sucks.
that. So learn from it. Have a perfectly flat, perfect edges on the inside. Anyway, he completely tore his head. Like when I mean tore, the top of his head probably has like a good half-inch hole, and it's about an inch deep on the top, the bottom, the lips all wrecked. But and now he shed, but like the shed is not peeling off, and if I start peeling through the hole, I start having blood come out. Right, so I removed a little bit but leaving it there, hoping that every shed it slowly and eventually the whole thing will pop out. I honestly thought he was going to die, but it's been over 6 weeks now, and he's still surviving. I'm still using betadine, mouth washing him every single day, and somehow he's surviving. We'll see if he makes it, and he's still good enough to breed this year. It's that. If not, Shan's got an adult male that I'm definitely going to be using. If not, so this year is going to be our first year trying diamonds. We'll see. Honestly, it's been like one of my dream species forever to want to breed, and I'm hoping I get a chance this year. But again, my female doesn't have that big head, man. When did the big head come on? Like I would assume that 5 years she'd have it, but it's still not there. Kind of
It'll get there, man. Some they're individuals. It'll get there. Sorry to hear about your boy, but dude, we all learn shit like that. And it's never the easy way. It would be great if you just tuned into all the podcasts and listened to all the things and all the right advice was given all the time and we just took that and rolled with it. But dude, that's not real life. There's just this never-ending supply of stupid shit that we have to learn the hard way. And eventually hopefully we get to the other side of it.
Yeah, I feel like we probably could bring on 2 or 3 guests and be like, let's make a show about all the stupid things we did and how we accidentally killed animals or how we severely injured them and what we learned from it. You imagine, like, just humble yourself.
Well, I have
Yeah.
stories. I
Oh,
have
trust
made
me.
mistakes on mistakes. There's a reason I don't keep chondros anymore. That's a bad omen. Shan asked me about chondros earlier. I'm like, nope, I'm doing emerald tree boas. Fuck that.
I mean, sometimes we need to do things to save other animals. I think that's and we're still in the learning process, right? I mean, as much as we're been in the hobby for so long, we sponge off other people and ideas and everything. And I know this what we're talking about. Dom and I are talking about, and I know you know about it, but we don't kind of talk about it in the hobby, and we're kind of trying to like solve one issue and then have another issue happen because you put them in a darn bin and freaking some darn edge messes up and makes something else happen out of it, and anyway, yeah, you
I
can make it
mean,
worse really quick.
yeah, man. I mean, I'll never forget having to learn that I needed to use thermostats. Shit. Basic. It's basic. All my lessons have been hard. All of them.
You know what my first thermostats, man, in the 90s when I used to have it, the only way I would dim is you would actually go to the Home Depot, which I think you guys have too. And you would literally take, like, I would take an electrical box, I would run wire with a plug, and then I would put a dimmer switch on it and then attach it to whatever I was using. And the dimmer switch, like literally like a dimmer that you'd use for your lights, my dimmable dimmers were plugged to whatever heat source was, and that's what I used to use because thermostats, like before the first Helix, I don't know if you had Helix too, but before the Helix would come out, that's what I was using. I was using a dimmer and just trying the best. Or you'd buy like the light socket that you'd buy, like you know how you can buy an extension cord that has a built-in dimmer on it, and you'd plug your lights on there, and you'd
Uh
be
huh.
just with the little thing up or down or the twisting up and down until you get the right temperature. And it was ghetto, man. It was far from precise, but they didn't exist, right? You did
You're gonna
what you
laugh at
could with
me.
what you had. Go for it.
Dude, you're gonna laugh at me. I was going through all of my supplies, and like you know how you have that box of reptile supplies that's in a corner that you haven't seen for fucking 5, 6, 7 years. Dude, I found one of those dimmers in that box. I have no idea how old it is, but it's very old. And I found one the other day, and I started laughing at it. Finally, threw it away. I'm like, okay, you can go in the trash now. I don't need to hang on to you anymore.
As you say, you got to take a picture and post it.
I remember using the dimmer and the heat gun, and then you get it to a certain temperature, or even you go to Walmart and you get this little kind of digital thing with a probe on it, and you stick it on that area, and then the dimmer switch. You take your little marker and be like, all right, this is exactly where the temperature is for this amount, right? And then you check it a little later and adjust from there, right? And you knew that when you turned it on, that mark was like 88 point something, right?
That's it. That was the way. Yeah. No, and I've mentioned this before on a podcast, but what I did with the freaking chondros the first time was I had this was before I had heat panels. I had them on a heat bulb inside the enclosure, which I had with the little case to go around it so they couldn't wrap around or whatever. And, I didn't have a thermostat. I was just like, cool, 75 watts, good to go, no problem. That's what I need. And I went to work, and I came home from work, and my air conditioner had gone out on my house. So my whole house was, over 100 degrees. And I walked into the reptile room, and my reptile room was like 115 degrees. And the chondros cooked, and so did all of the rats. Luckily for the reptiles, the only thing that died was the green tree pythons. Everything
Really?
else lived. But all of the rats died. So the heat killed the green tree pythons and the rats. The monitor, dude, that Nile monitor was still fucking under the heat lamp. He didn't give a shit. He's like, yes,
Of course.
more. But yeah, dead chondros and a whole rack of rats gone.
You want to hear? You know what? I'm going to share the story. I might have shared it before, but stupidest thing I've ever done that I'm still kicking my ass for is with a Woma. So I think Womas are cool. I just want a pair, and I still only have a male because I've tried to acquire females like 15 times, and each time it either becomes a female that turns into a male that was never properly sexed. Even from Shan. Shan's bred them. I've probed or popped them. Take one of his females, raise it up for 2.5 years. God damn it, it's another male. But anyway, I finally did get a female. And this was during the time that people kept posting about them digging with their head and all that shit. And I was like, this is fucking cool. I'm going to do that. So I added sand everywhere in the cage, and it was cool. It was digging. It was doing the scooping thing. It was really nice and natural. Anyway, one day I fed it. It ate, no problem. But the way I feed is I take a bucket of water. I unthaw all my rats. You change the water 2 or 3 times until your bucket filled with 50 rats or whatever it is that you're feeding is nice and warm. So anyway, I would go and I fed the Woma. Woma grabs it, coils it, eats it. Okay, so he eats the rat. Okay, obviously when he's eating, the rat goes on the sand, right? Then he eats it. Okay, but the thing I didn't know is that rat had sand all around the rat. And as he eats it, all the sand as he's eating is all accumulating around its mouth. And the saliva plus the sand literally glued its mouth shut. Fully glued its mouth shut. Like his mouth was not opening anymore. Because as it dries up, the sand in that saliva created this fucking I don't know what it was, but it was completely shut after it ate.
Made
But
concrete.
I couldn't see it. Yeah, I couldn't see it though. I didn't know. And then days went on and on. Then I could start hearing a hissing noise and every now and then. And when you hear something in your room and you're just standing there and you're looking like, what cage is it? Like you're listening for hours and then you can't hear it for an hour while you're wasting there. Next day you hear it again while you're cleaning. God damn it, where is it? I finally tracked it down after a week and a half. And then I'm taking out this woman. I'm looking. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then as I'm rubbing it, I'm noticing that A woma usually you'll hold it and then they'll want to bite your hand. They'll do the stupid nose thing and touch your hand until eventually it starts opening. And I'm like, he's not doing any of that. And I started looking around, and then all of a sudden I realized his mouth is shut. I literally had to peel this thing off. It was like if it kind of made me feel like a stuck shed was stuck all around his lips, but it was everything. Finally, I pried it off, and after prying it off, this animal was like started an RI infection. I tried everything and died from it. Never ever recuperated from that. But you want to talk about stupid mistakes? I was so happy. Finally got a female, raised her up until she was at least 2 or so, at a good like 3 to 4 feet, and I killed her because I wanted to put sand in the cage. So, I learned from that stupid mistake. And, can you keep him in sand? Of course you can. Should you feed him on sand? Probably not the smartest idea. I can tell you, I will never keep a worm on sand, though, again. That is one thing I'm never doing again.
I've had similar problems because I feed similarly. I heat up the same way in the buckets of water. But if I don't dry my rats off all the way, then the coconut husk will get stuck to the rats. And then I end up with, cocoa husk rat, and then, it eats it. And then you got the freaking husk like all in the mouth or whatnot. And then if you don't do something about it and get that flushed out, it leads to mouth infections. And then you end up having to do the Benadine in the mouth and the swab and get that cleared off, and you can cause mouth rot that way. Learned that one myself the hard way. So try to do a really good job drying off my rats now if I'm going to feed them over cocoa husk. No more mouth rot.
It's
Yeah.
something I've always done, actually. I've always had kind of a towels, and I take them out of the water, and then I kind of dry them off, and then I offer them, so I don't have that issue. Like you said, it's going to be in your mouth, and if it passes through the mouth and you don't get an infection there, maybe it's not going to pass through the other end either, right? It's going to maybe cause problems down there too, right? So
Yeah, 100%, man. You gotta dry them off. I used to not on purpose, and I thought I was doing a good thing because I was providing more hydration to the animal, and like that was my mindset. And I had to learn that was wrong and redirect it.
no, absolutely. I can see the concept of like, hey, you're going to offer it a drippy, wet rat, and you're going to, it's going to have it probably doesn't drink that often, the snake. So you're thinking, hey, I'm going to give it some more something drink and hydrate it, right? But you can be causing another problem if you don't dry it, I feel.
Oh, I have caused
So
the problem. Will. Yeah.
so I don't do the whole drying. I still feed them all wet, but I'm a big fan of paper. I know it doesn't visually look as pretty, but all my cages are on paper. But every single cage will have a hide with cypress mulch or with moss in it. And for those, I just don't feed them in there. And I also find that cypress mulch isn't an issue. If you feed an animal on cypress mulch, like they're just big chunks. They don't get caught in the mouth. I've never had any issues with cypress mulch. I know that coconut husk, like there's so much fine fiber and all that I could see that as the same. But for cypress mulch, I personally don't think it's an issue. So that's pretty much the only real substrate, that and some of the moss there that I use, and I haven't had any issue with those ones. So for that, I feed everything wet. I don't care, and it's not because I think it helps with
I
hydration. It's pure laziness. It's just easier.
Well, I agree with you on the cypress mulch. The problem for me, and I used to use cypress mulch when I lived in Tennessee. The problem in California, you can't buy it. Cypress mulch is not available out here. I do not know why. They don't sell it at Home Depot or Lowe's. You won't find it in any garden section. But the type that would be safe and good to use with your reptiles, it's not available. Here, it's all like dyed or it's a cypress mix, and it's not just cypress. It's multiple other types of wood that I don't want in my cage. So here I kind of, it would be either paper or coconut husk. I do coconut husk out of laziness. I've done paper, and I think paper is great. The problem with paper versus coconut husk for me is cleaning. I want to be able to clean on cleaning day. And if you have paper, you kind of have to clean on poop day, whenever that is. So you are forced into cleaning more frequently, which is good because you should clean your cages. However, if you're super slammed, a coconut husk can add, just it'll give you a little more room to breathe as far as when you have to spot clean and fully clean your enclosures.
Yeah, the problem with the coconut husk or things like that is I find that when they're pissing in it or things like that, it kind of absorbs, right? But then it just stays in the cage. No matter how much you pick up, I find like there's always residual pee or there's things in there. And a lot of them you actually don't even notice when they go because it just absorbs it and makes it disappear, right? So my routine is basically every day I come in for 15 minutes so I can 2, 3 cages, the ones that were defecated in. And I do have the big cleaning day, but the big cleaning day is usually still again 3 or 4 cages that are bad, and the rest is just water bowls and everywhere. So I get what you're saying. So just going back to the cypress mulch. So we're in Ottawa, and I can tell you there's not a Home Depot or Home Hardware, a Lowe's, all those things that carry cypress mulch. Even though they have it on their website, you can't get it, you can't order it. We went through hell and found one supplier that does carry it, and it's in Toronto, which is a 5 hour drive from us. And that is the closest from us that has it. And what once every 2 year, Shan grabs his pickup. We go there. We pick up like, I don't know, 80, 90. I think we picked up like 100 bags last time. And then we stack it and we're good for a little while. And like almost everybody knows of this place. And the bags are maybe $5 or $6 for one of those big 40-liter bags. And you see them for sale everywhere. Like the pet shops will buy them and then they'll sell them for 45, $50 for the bag, right? When you're like, I know exactly where you got it. Everybody knows the plant supply store, the only one that carries it. So I think it is carried. You just need to figure out where it is and who carries it and how to get there. And when you find it, just go and load up, man. Take a lot because you'll often notice that the pet shops that have them all have the same brand and it all comes to the same place. You just need them to tell you who their supplier is. So like we for Canada, if
See,
somebody
that's
is
what I
looking
do with
it out
coconut.
there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's what
No,
I
no,
do
go
with
for it.
coconut husk. It's the hydro stores, man. So in California, growing weed out here is a hobby. A lot of people grow weed, and it's legal. And you can get bricks of coconut husk from the hydro stores at a much better price than you can from a pet store. But the hydro stores it's really hit and miss who's got what. So yeah, dude, I just bought a fucking 100 bricks of coconut husk that are stashed in my crawl space. I have a lot. Like, you open up the door to the crawl space and crawl in there through my basement, and I've got an air conditioner, I've got rafters, and I've got coconut husk. Man, I have years of coconut husk. I'm good. At least 2 or 3 years supply, no problem.
Yeah, when you get it at a good price, it's definitely worthwhile. I get only thing is like I found myself like I've done a lot of cages where I would do full cypress mulch everywhere, and I've gone back from full cypress mulch to paper and so on. My issue is like when you got to clean out that cage and empty everything and do the full, man, that is more work than cleaning out the paper every few days when an accident happens. I don't know. I keep going back and forth, and I've got some cages that are full cypress mulch, like so animals where I feel like need higher humidity, it's full cypress. Just at that point, because it's easier to just dump. You dump a liter or a gallon of water in there. You don't give a shit. It just soaks it all up, and then the cage is nice and humid, right? So it works great for that. But if the animals don't need it, I tend to keep on paper. And I know aesthetically it might not be as pleasing, but man, it works well. It's easy to keep clean, and I love the fact that everything's always clean on paper. Like I can see it, I can change it. I don't see it in the cypress mulch. It's hard to tell when they went.
No, I'm with you. Shop vac is definitely my friend when it comes to cleaning out coconut husk of all the cages. I'll get in there with my dustpan. I get what I can get, and then I just shop vac the rest of that crap. Man, it's the way to go.
Agreed. I just recently changed my cages over, and I tell you, it's like I said, it absorbs and everything, but then when you want to change it over and you want to do a really nice clean because you want to get everything and make sure your snakes are on clean stuff. Shop vac, like you said, dustpan first, shop vac all the corners. Then I have to go get water with a little bit of bleach solution, clean everything. Then I let it all dry out. And then I alcohol base everything. And then I've been putting in paper lately. I find it's much easier. I take the paper out, put the snake in about a bin so I can clean the tank. Just alcohol everything, let everything dry, put everything back together. Boom.
You're going to laugh at me. So I was talking shit on the V70 tubs earlier. I have a V70 rack only for cleaning cages. So I'll go through and I'll fill up my V70 rack with all the snakes that'll fit in there. Well, that's kind of not true. I do have a pair of my son's ball pythons in the V70 rack, but they like it there. It's fine. The rest of them, though, I'll fill up with whatever I'm doing, and then I'll clean that run. That'll be like what I'm doing for that day is, the 7 or 8 snakes that'll go in that V70 tub. Those are my 7 to 8 cages. And then, that's what I did on that Saturday or whatever. And then I'll switch and do different ones the next week. But I have that rack just for freaking cage cleaning. It's probably not the most economical thing.
Makes sense though. Like I do the same thing. We all have those spare few tubs that you always keep around, right? Like animal in the tub, clean the cage. I just do one at a time. But my biggest problem is after you move that snake, then I get a big piece of paper towel, dip it in alcohol 70%, and I'm scrubbing the entire tub everywhere. I gotta let that one air dry now, and then I use the next tub. And by the time I'm on the third tub, the first one is fully dry, so then I can reuse that one for the next animal. And I could see though a rack, it's just simple, right? You pull it in, you put it in, but then I don't know how you are about disinfecting between animals and all that. To me, it's become a really big routine to just how are you when you switch from one cage to the other? What do you do? Oh, I lost him. What did he say? Not sure what he said there, Shan. Did you get that?
No, I didn't. I think he had to go get his dog. He said he's going to be right back.
No, not the dog.
No, so I totally agree.
I like this one. So, can you read it? Animal facility, it's the wrong way. So this ProVet Logic makes it, and it's an animal facility concentrated disinfectant. I really like this stuff. It's a mixture of chlorhexidine and something else, but it's a disinfectant, cleaner, deodorizer, and you get a lot. I mean, this is so freaking, you just need a little bit, and it does a full-on bottle. So this is great. I mean, it'll take me a year to go through this freaking container. But yeah, this animal facility cleaner is legit. So I use that. I just have spray bottles full of that all over the place for, whenever.
What's the cost of that bottle, by curiosity?
I have no idea. It's probably $20 or $40. I just hit send, man. Fucking whatever. It is what it is.
So is that equivalent? Is that equivalent to F10? Is that equivalent to F10?
Yeah. Okay. It's very similar to F10. I can't buy F10 anymore though. It doesn't seem to be available in the States. The F10 cleaner for some reason I'm not able to get, but I can buy this stuff. And then I have chlorhexidine as well, but I don't know. As long as you're using something that's animal safe, it's all good. I don't like messing with bleach really.
Yeah, I find bleach really, the smell really stays there. I find alcohol is still pretty strong smell, but it really dissipates fast, right? Within 30, 40 seconds, that smell is gone. So I don't know. After listening to a couple of podcasts that really went into pretty deep into quarantine and into cleanliness, and what was it? We had Justin Julander a little while back, and he was talking about which is the best alcohol and all that. And to him, the 70% alcohol, give it the 3 minute dry time, and it pretty much killed everything. And to me, that's become like my new thing. Like when I go around cages, I'll show you this. Oh fuck. Okay, disregard that part. Okay, I got literally this, which is just a 6 quart bucket with about 2 inches of alcohol in it. And all I'll do is between each cages, I dip my hand inside of it, dip it out, let them dry, and then I'll go to the next cage. I used to use hand sanitizer, but the problem with hand sanitizer is, man, your hands get so disgusting after 3 or 4 times using it that you have to go to a sink and actually remove all that, like that gunk on it, right? When alcohol actually doesn't do that at all. Like you dip it, the only problem is at the end of like after cleaning 50 cages, my hands are a little raw, but you know, at least I feel like I'm clean in between cages. I feel like I don't know. I think it's better. Maybe I've become a little bit too obsessed with it, but I don't know. I've changed a lot of my cleaning practices to make sure that I'm not, I don't know, spreading things if there are any things. And it's funny because like during breeding season, everything goes together. But you know, my coastals don't go with my jungles. My roughies don't go with my pygmies. So there's still a lot of animals that never see each other, right? But I don't know. As years go by and as you hear all these problems of people's collections and all these things, I've become pretty anal about like, I don't know, touching from one animal to another. And it's always like youngest, you always do the neonates, then you go to the yearlings, then you go to the subadults and then the adults. And I've developed all these like, I don't know, anal retentive habits is the best way I could put it. So I don't know. That's why I was kind of
No,
curious.
that's
How do you
good,
go
man.
about cleaning cages from one animal to another?
Yeah, I use that stuff, and then I have the luxury of having sinks in both of my reptile rooms. So I just wash my hands frequently and often. You know, that's that's a wrap. If I'm cleaning, I'm using that stuff. Wash my hands all the time, and I try to make it a It's a big deal for me to where whenever I'm working with animals, I work with the babies first. It's babies first, adults later, and I don't usually do 2 rooms in the same day. It's like like I'll have baby day, and then I'll have adult room day upstairs, like garage day, and then I do basement day, and then I go back to baby day as far as like water changes and stuff like that. But I try not to work backwards.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to do it. I think Dom and I have pretty much adopted that kind of thing too, right? I mean, you got to when you have a big collection, you can't take chances anymore. It's just you'll have heartbreaks if you do.
So we're a little past the 2 hour mark there. Brandon, you got anything else you want to chat about? Anything else cool in your collection we should hit on, or you got one last subject you want to
Oh
go down?
man, I don't know, man. I guess I appreciate you guys from having me on, and dude, this hobby's so much fun. And I've never had a chance to sit and talk to you guys before. I've known who you are forever, and we've been able to talk through DMs and stuff for a long time. But it's so cool the different friends that you can make and the different experiences that you can have in this hobby. And when you have collections the size of ours, I think people when they're looking at it with their 2 or 3 snakes, like, oh man, that's the goal, I want that. And I think this episode might have highlighted how big of a pain in the ass it can be to have this size of a collection. Like it's a lot of work. And when you're buying your snakes, and please guys, buy babies, don't buy adults just because it's faster to breed them. It's not worth it. Buy the babies, raise the babies, build your collection the right way, and in the long run, you're going to be better off for it. I promise. But it's a lot of work to do this, and there's just so many cool people around. And I would just encourage anybody who's listening. You see somebody who you think is cool, who has the stuff that you want online, and you have questions, reach out to those people, dude. Send them DMs, say what's up, say hello, make a friend. You know what I mean? Like, we're cool, we don't bite. Everybody's everybody's fun. And no, the community, I think, is one of my favorite things about carpet pythons.
Well said, and 100% agree. Shan, you got anything else you want to hit up before we, I don't know, close it out soon enough?
No, not really. I mean, we all hit it pretty good tonight. I feel, Brandon said it right. Like we're a community, not probably as big as ball pythons, but I think we kind of regiment ourselves. I mean, it's been said many times, and I just feel like we're tight knit. And anytime like I've DM'd you in the past and like asked you about certain things, or everybody's so kind and nice and not so bashful and stuff like that, right? And that's what we need more of.
100%.
100%. Well, Brandon, really appreciate it. You should come back on anytime you want. It's always great talking to you. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, Instagram, Morelia House. That's the best way. I haven't posted YouTube stuff in a really long time, but I do keep all of my up-to-date things that I'm doing on Instagram and share lots of Instagram stories and whatever I've got going on. I promise it's on there. You can find it. Also, I recommend joining the Carpet Python group on Facebook. It's just called Carpet Pythons. It's a great little community we got going there. It's big, there's a lot in it, but we have fun and there's some cool stuff. And I always appreciate new conversations in that group. So please reach out to me. Instagram, Morelia House. Love to talk to you.
I think I'm on that group. I'm going to post a what is my carpet python and just put a random picture on there.
Do it. Do it. See what pops up. Sometimes it's fun to do that just to fuck with people and see if they're right.
It'd be funny. I probably should. And you post like something that's obviously something real, but like maybe post a picture of one of Shan's Jaltons and just see what people say. So
Dude,
Shan, if anybody...
Okay, so that's not even funny. That's not even funny, guys. So I posted that picture. All right. Don't laugh. I posted that picture and somebody loved those pictures. And then I saw what he wrote and he's like, "Oh, great tiger." And I'm like, no tiger in this. "Oh, great diamond color in there." And I'm like, "No diamond in this. This is just gelatin. Please do not change what it is. It is just pure gelatin."
You know what the problem is with those gelatins is that people call it a gelatin jungle, and it's not a jungle. And I hate the word jungle associated to it, right? It just creates that confusion. Like, you never breed a gelatin to a jungle because you're creating a hybrid, right? So it's one of those things. I wish that word wouldn't be associated.
There's a guy, Justin, that's
it's only
doing
been
it
like that. It's only really been like that since the Most Complete Carpet Python came out, though, because that's when Nick made a big deal about it, and that's when it was released to the world. And but they're always gelatin jungles before that, like that's what they were. That's what I used to call them, So yeah.
So the guy
change is hard.
So there was a guy I think he's in Europe somewhere, Justin Smite. He's actually bred the gelatin with a zebra, and now it's Justin Smythe or something.
Justin
like that.
Smith is in the States. He's a herpetologic
network. Somebody else. Not him. Somebody else.
There's one in the
who else did that?
Go.
Yeah.
You know who else did that pairing?
Who?
Nick. Nick did too. Before he knew what it was and he thought it was a jungle carpet, Nick totally did that pairing.
Are you telling me Nick created hybrids here?
Not on purpose. He didn't know yet.
Oh. We're going to have to bring that up next time he comes on. It's too bad because he was on last week. I would have totally asked him about that one.
He definitely doesn't watch podcasts, so somebody should clip this and send it to him. He's going to be so mad at me. Fucking Brandon!
Letting all the secrets out, eh?
It's not a good secret. The good ones you keep tight to your chest. It's just a funny
he probably. I could see it that he probably just did that to get just diversity right in the bloodlines, and then only to realize he created hybrids. He probably got rid of all of his offspring. He's like, yeah, I'm not working with this anymore.
No, it wasn't that actually. I think what happened was he was trying to outcross Ivory. I think he was trying to outcross Ivory and figured that gelatin would be a good path for that because at the time gelatins were jungles. And they just ended up looking like gelatins. It wasn't really a good outcross. He never did it again, but he did do it. That pairing exists. It did happen.
Oh, that's interesting. That's funny. All right, Shan, how do people get a hold of you?
So Shan Melanson on Facebook can message me. Instagram, same thing, Shan Melanson. By the way, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, Dom, to come on and stuff and interview Brandon. I mean, come on. And then last weekend, Nick, I mean, come on. So awesome. Thanks for for coming on, Brandon. It's awesome.
Dude, I'm just glad you guys are rocking the podcast, man. Let's go. Supporting Canada, man. Let's do it. You're now in my routine. I'm going to listen to you guys at work all the time. I drive a lot. Man. I have podcast time.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate that.
Definitely appreciate that. Brandon, again, a million thank you for coming on. You're one of those guests whenever I see on a show, always listening. There's all of these, there's probably 20 people that whenever you see on any podcast, you're always listening. There's a reason we wanted you on here. You're a wealth of knowledge and love having you on. And of course, Shan, you're always going to be the co-host whenever Mike's not there because, I'd rather be talking to anybody with you than anyone else. So on that note, everybody, thank you for logging on. It's Reptile Rejects. If you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on pretty much every podcast streaming network out there. Click those little like buttons, subscribe, all that kind of crap. Make us try to get us a couple more viewership. It'd be great. Myself, Dom's Reptiles, or just Facebook, Dominic Carbonneau, or Instagram, Dom's Reptiles. We have a couple of animals left. I think Shan has got a lot of Bredli babies. We've got a couple of other carpets. He's got some kink snakes coming up. Pygmies might be ready in maybe 3-4 months eventually. We're having some pretty decent success with those. And that's about it. To everyone, thank you very much for gelatins. Oh, there you go, gelatins too. We have a few gelatins for sale. I wasn't going to agree. Guys, everybody, get some Jello. Thank you for logging on. Have a good day, guys. And Brandon, don't log off yet. All right, good night, gents.
Thanks, Brandon.